Everyone, Kim here with Abundant Life Tarot. Thank you so much for joining me. We are discussing my Oracle and Lenormand decks that I plan to use this autumn season and perhaps during Thanksgiving, Halloween. Yeah, so we're going to get into it. I'm not going to waste too much of your time here with this introduction because we got a lot of decks to discuss today. All right, let's get started. Before we get into the Oracle decks, I do want to make a quick mention that I did record yesterday a video on the 11 tarot decks that I plan to use in autumn and around Halloween. So don't forget to check that out. The link is in the description box. Let's talk about the first deck. The first deck that I want to share with you that I plan to use a lot this season is the Mildred Payne's Secret Pocket Oracle. And I just adore this deck, you all. If you've been watching my channel for a long period of time, you know how much I absolutely adore this deck. And it never ceases to amaze me. What I'm shocked about it is that sometimes it just provides such clarity like how tarot can. And it works in a way of like in between tarot, oracle, and Lenormand for me. Like I can't explain it, but I just love working with it. And I offer it as in client readings. I do have clients both in my Etsy shop and on my website. They book this reading, or they book the reading that includes this deck. And yeah, they love it. I love it. And I also use this deck for my Mystery Mystic Monday opening oracle readings. And the insight and clarity that I get when using this deck is just so awesome. So awesome. I've edged it in black, and this will be like I'm going to re-edge it soon. It's going to be like the third or fourth time that I use it. It is a little difficult to handle because it's little. Oh, but the jumpers just fly right out. Just fly out. And I ended up just got it earlier this week, was the Mildred Payne Secret Pocket Oracle Bloody Hell Edition. And I just wanted to have a bigger size, poker size deck with the Mildred Payne. But I didn't want to necessarily get the same coloring as this one, and that's because it's like I wanted a little variety. So I wanted a different size, and then I also wanted a different color. So let me show you the backs again. I'm probably going to end up edging them. I haven't decided if it's going to be like a dark red or a black. Wow, it's bright when I'm looking at it in the viewfinder. I just think that perhaps I might be called to use these from time to time, this deck, in my Mystery Mystic readings, because it's slightly bigger. And especially around Halloween, it's got this feel to it, the Bloody Hell edition, that I am curious to see how that works in a reading. Wow. Wow. I'm not going to do an unboxing of this deck on my channel yet. I might do a flip through later on after I've used it for a while or see how I use it. Sometimes I feel called to do unboxings, and sometimes I feel inclined to just wait until I've worked with the deck for a while to do a review or a flip through. So we'll see when. But if you all really want me to do a flip through or a comparison video, let me know in the comment section, and I'll put it on my list of content to record in the future. All right, that is the Mildred Payne Secret Pocket Oracle. So we got two decks in that one little sitting right there. Let's move on to the next one. So this one is probably not going to surprise you, but I need to share it anyway because I do plan on using it probably as soon as autumn hits I'm going to probably be using it. So this would be Stacey DeMarco's The Halloween Oracle. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. I really like this deck, and I am surprised how much I do. I am surprised. Here's the guidebook. It is a Blue Angel Oracle deck, so it is a bit large. I suppose you could trim them, of course. You could edge them as well. I did not do neither and just didn't care that much to do so. They're not that difficult to handle. Oh, that's forgiveness, reducing burden. Isn't that beautiful? And you can use this not just in autumn, but in the first few weeks, in my opinion, of winter, because there's certain cards that kind of lends itself to winter time with this deck. We got Werewolf. Let me see if I can find one. Here's the backs. They are glossy, but they've held up over the years as long as I've had it, which is surprising. So maybe you haven't worked with this deck in a while. You maybe even forgot that you had it in your collection, or maybe you're in the market for a deck that's inspired by Halloween. Well, this is a great one to consider getting. I've heard a lot of people have highly favorable things to say about it over the years. In Oracle groups or Tarot groups, I've seen feedback on this deck, and yeah, people really like it. Let me see if I can find something. And what I will do is I will link and timestamp these decks, so that way if you want to see more, like if you want to see a flip through or unboxing that I've done in the past, you'll be able to do that. You'll be able to just click on that. I'm not going to list the names in the description box because I don't want to spoil my little list that I'm doing here in this video. This is pretty. I was trying to find, I don't know if I can find it. There's one that's like, looks very much like winter to me. Ah, here we go. It is. It says winter. It's got that fall leaf though. So yeah, I am going to be using the Halloween Oracle. Switch it up and we're going to discuss the Lenormand. Okay, so let's discuss this one. This is the Victorian Gothic Lenormand. This is a deck by Ariana Siegel. It is independently produced. I'm not sure if it's in print or not. Maybe it's on Printer Studio or Make Playing Cards. I don't know. But I bought this a long time ago, and so I don't know the availability of it. But here's the backs. I have not edged it. And let's just go through them. I'm pretty sure I did an unboxing of this deck. I like it because sometimes I use it as a accompanying Oracle deck to my Bohemian Gothic Tarot. You see that? So, some people may not appreciate all that's going on in this Lenormand deck because there's a lot going on. But I enjoy it, especially when I'm utilizing this deck as an Oracle versus a Lenormand deck. It's so beautiful. I'll show you a couple more, and then we're going to move on because we've got a lot of decks to talk about. Isn't that amazing? This is the Whip. Let's see if there's anything. Here's Bouquet. Okay. And Heart. So yeah, I'm going to keep this one short and sweet. Check out the unboxing if I have one. I'll be sure to link it in the description box. Oh, one more snake. And then that way you can get a good feel of this deck. One I actually would probably use throughout the year, but the way the feel of this deck is to me, it feels autumn time-ish. And that would be the Lantern Oracle. Okay, this is another Blue Angel Oracle deck. And here, let me show you. Here's the guidebook. I love the guidebook. Let's see. Oh yeah, love that guidebook. Definitely check out the unboxing video. I'm pretty sure I did one for it. Here is, that's one of the cards. Here's the card backs. I could edge it if I wanted to. I like that it's a matte feel versus glossy, especially for doing video readings or taking pictures of the images. So we have here radical self-love. Let's see what else. Forgiveness. Sorry for the background noises if you can hear them. Repair. Repair. Isn't that beautiful? Then we have sharing. Feels abundance. It says there's a giving and receiving. There is giving in receiving and receiving in giving. Isn't that beautiful? This feels very early autumn to me. Spirit self. So you can see why I may have chosen this deck. It's just the coloration, the season feels very autumn to me. But really and truly, you could use this deck throughout the year. To me, it's a great shadow spiritual deck. You know, let me see if there's anything else that I'm called to share. How about perspective? So check out the unboxing of that deck. I really appreciate it, and I cannot wait to use it more this season. Okay, so let's talk about this next one. The next one I want to mention to you is the Divine Muses Oracle. Okay, and this deck is by Marie Bento, and I got the little zipper bag here. Here are the card backs, and let's just go through some of these cards. And I think probably it's the coloring for me that feels very autumn. But truthfully, there are times I'm just called to pull it off my shelf. It could be springtime. But really and truly, I want to be intentional about the decks I'm mentioning. I'm called to use them. And so I was like, oh, it could be because this season they would really work in my spiritual practice. So can you see that? Definitely check out the unboxing that I have done on this deck if you want a full flip through. Okay, I believe this is the first edition, but I could be mistaken. I don't think so. I think it is. And I don't know. I think it is. So yeah, I'm gonna be utilizing this deck this season. Look at that one. Let me know what you think of the decks so far that I've mentioned. Now we're moving along to the next one, which is the Literary Witches. I'm gonna be honest, I love the deck, right? But I just didn't know how to use it for the longest time. And I still don't know if I'm entirely convinced that I do, but this is where I'm going to just see, like, listen to my intuition on where it's called to be used or how to be used in my reading practice. I just really like the deck, and I don't know if it's just simply just going to be one of those decks that is in my collection. Here's the guidebook, because I have a thing for literature, and I love the women that are depicted in the deck, and I love the art style, and it just may be one of those decks that are for appreciation. What's cool about it is 70 cards, and then you've got these cards like this, right? These like Lenormand kind of cards, I call them. And then you have the decks that feature the Literary Witches. And what's helpful about the deck is that it has a tiny little key meaning underneath the name of the literary witch. So that's super helpful because I do want to use this deck. And I was like, oh, well, maybe it'll work in my Mystery Mystic readings, but I don't think so. I think it might be more suited for maybe, some shadow work, some introspection work. I don't know. I don't know yet. So tell me, folks, how do you utilize this deck? Do you have this deck? Have you found a way to incorporate it into your practice? I want to love it so much. I want to work with it so much. And I'm just curious to know, like, oh, I love this card, the dark. I just want to make it work. But, sometimes that ain't going to be the case. But we're going to try. That's what we're going to do. We are going to try. Let me see if there's anything else I want to show you. And sometimes, I'm inclined to separate these cards out and make it its own little deck. And then with the cards that feature the women, like this one, make it its own deck. So you could have two decks in one. That is a possibility. And I may have to explore doing that. It is a mass market deck, and it's a really nice one for being mass market, to be honest. And the guidebook here. Here's the guidebook. So it's a nice deck. I just need to figure out how to utilize it. So this next one, let's talk about it. I keep it in this bag here, this little tuck bag. And it is my Oracle of Oddities. I actually remove the chakra cards. I don't know why I'm not called to use the chakra cards in this deck, so I always keep them separate. And once I did that, this deck just worked really well for me. I am always a fan of Oracle decks that are Tarot size, so it sold me there. And I believe this is one where I had to build the expansion, if you will. But yeah, I love this deck. And honestly, you could use this in the springtime or really any time, especially as you see these blooms against this chest cavity here. You totally could use this in spring, but I'm also inspired to use it in the autumn. As I'm going through these decks, I'm realizing how much I love my collection. I'm loving the decks that I have. It's nice to get a chance to sit through and look at decks I haven't picked up in a while, and then being intentional about saying, you know what, pull that one off the shelf today. See how it goes. See what happens. See what magic you unlock with this deck. Here's creation. I mean, some people may not be a fan of the tiny little print there of the keywords, but I actually like it. Let's see if there's any more I want to show you. Awareness. So yeah, that is the Oracle of Oddities. This next one I've had for a long time and used it all the time, and I desperately need to re-edge it, and this is the Oracle of Nightmares. It is also by Ariana Siegel, and she is a part of White Rabbit Oracle. That was the name, I think, of her company that produced the actual White Rabbit Oracle, but it produced the Victorian Gothic Lenormand, for example. Here's the card backs, and here is the deck. I absolutely, positively love this deck. It is highly accurate. Yes, it's quite dark and it may be a little bit difficult to see what's going on here, but it is quite beautiful in terms of the keywords, in terms of what, if you look closely at the images, seeing what's coming through. It is just a phenomenal deck. It's really surprising, actually, because it's not necessarily something that people would typically grab for, but you also can use this deck throughout the year. I don't necessarily just exclusively use it through Halloween, I do also, this is one of my favorites, Inertia. I gotta tell my husband to be quiet. He's being loud. Very loud. It's the problem is here is that it's all concrete walls, so it just, the sounds just echo. It's not, I mean, and then in the States we have thin walls. It's just, I don't know. Okay, I think he's gonna be quiet now. Truth. See that? So your eyes can land on all these different images. And I'm a big fan of key words. Reckoning, encounter. What does that mean to you? What does that mean to the querent? All right, check out the unboxing of this deck. It's an incredible deck. You can tell I loved on it by all the rubbed off edging I have up here. So the next one we're going to talk about is created by the same one who created the Oracle of Oddities, the same creator, Claire Goodchild, and this is the Memento Mori. It is a Lenormand and Oracle deck, so I don't know if it says how many cards here, but it is a gang of cards. Here's the backs. You can use part of it as a Lenormand, or you can do like I do. I combine all the cards together for the Oracle and the Lenormand into one massive deck. I got this little bag to keep it in because I believe it came with like a standard little tuck box, so I thought this was cute. So, and it's reversible if you use Oracle and reversals. Scale, oh my goodness. It goes beautifully with my Antique Anatomy. It's got a great little guidebook here that comes with it. I don't think my Oracle of Oddities has a guidebook, but you don't really need it. When you have a deck that has beautiful images and, you know, clear keywords, to me, you don't need a deck. So here's Wreath. Isn't that gorgeous? And again, this is one of those decks you could use all throughout the year. Really, any deck you could, including the Halloween Oracle, truth be told. But again, there's something about it that draws me to using it this time of year. I think when I did the Antique Anatomy Tarot study, and I used this mainly as the combination Oracle deck that went with it, the companion Oracle. We were doing the tarot study during autumn, early autumn, and that's probably why I feel called to pull it out now. Isn't it gorgeous? Trying to get it so you can see it. Check out the flip through. I think the flip through on this one I did as a live, but I showed all the cards. This is embalming fluid. So that's an interesting keyword and image for those of us who crave different types of keywords in our Oracle decks. I know I do. I don't like the same, you know, ones, the same repeats over and over again. I need something fresh and new. So this next one is a Lenormand deck. So let me show that to you. It is the Anna K. Lenormand. Do you all know this deck? This is amazingness right here. And I had a total at one point of 8 Lenormands in my collection, and I trimmed it all down to I think 5. It was like I bought a few, got rid of a few, and now I've landed at 5. And this is one of my favorite Lenormand decks I have in my collection, and it's got an incredible guidebook. Okay, let me tell you why. So for example, with Clover, it gives you the meanings for nouns or phrases associated with Clover, or activities or attributes, as a person, as advice, as a time factor. It says soon and quickly over, take the chance now or it will be too late. So I am such a fan of this guidebook, and I am such a fan of this little deck. Let me show you some of the images here. Here's the backs. I don't have the Anna K. Tarot, believe it or not, but for some reason I needed this one in my life. I needed the Lenormand in my life, and whenever, every blue moon, I'm called to use Lenormand to try to keep my practice up with it, I go to this one. There's Crossroads. You can barely see the keyword. It blends in with the imagery. Let me see. I want to show you something that looks very autumn-like. Here's Lily. There's 2 Lily cards in here. Here's Scythe. Bouquet. Anchor. And I'm fairly certain that I did an unboxing of this deck. I hope I have. If not, let me know if you see that it's missing in my timestamps and you're like, I really want a full flip through if I don't have one there, and I'll consider doing a full flip through of this, because this is just gorgeousness right here. It just is. I mean, my God. Let's see. Even the sun card is amazing and bright. Let me see if there's anything else. I'll show you the coffin. And the moon. Okay. We're winding on down, folks. I hope you're hanging in there. Look at it. Look at her. All right, let's move on. So this is the last one. We made it to number 11. Yes. Okay. So this one for show I use all year round, and it's the Dark Mirror Oracle. It is actually a low Scarabeo deck, and you can purchase it as mass market by Laura Sava. And I use this a lot in my Mystery Mystic Mondays readings. However, you can use it for maybe shadow work type of readings. It's kind of a fronting in some ways, but the guidebook is really great and actually is much more gentler in interpretations of the cards than I am. So if I'm left to my own devices and interpreting based off of what my intuitive hits are, it can go some places, especially with my mysterious circumstances readings. Here's the thing. When I first got this deck a few years back, I was not a fan. I was not a fan of the backs. I was not a fan of this disjointed mirror look here, but it felt very 70s mirrors on the wall kind of feel. But now I actually have grown to appreciate this effect. We've got Queen of My World, Atonement, Artificial Heart, Bride in a Cage, Peaceful Among Thorns. One of my favorites, Parasite. I mean, you could even bust this out in a love reading, like a reading where people are having severe love issues or relationship issues, or, you know, not just love relationships, friendships and colleagues and all sorts of readings. You'd be very surprised at how the keywords actually really kick off all of these different intuitive hits for you as the reader. That's Perchance to Dream. I'll show you a few more. Here's Fragmentation, Anger in Chains. And I'm going to see Revenge, let's see, Calling in the Storm, and Fated to Suffer, and we'll do one more, or maybe two more. Addicted, Alone in the World. Oh, okay, one more for real this time. Blinded to Pain. And I wanted to just mention, the guidebook is actually quite good. Sometimes what I do is I read it. Because it's in multiple languages, it's not really this full book. It goes up to here for the English version. Okay, just here. And I just thumb through and I look at what the guidebook is saying as a refresher, since I use this deck a lot for my Mysterious Circumstances readings. And so anger and chains, it's got the moon phase, waning crescent. The stage is anger. It's got a key phrases, a visual seed meaning, a sentence. It says anger and chains, I've got to break free. I want to be free. And going dark. And it says anger is not the road to clarity. And so that's the first sentence that is the summary of the card of going dark. So this is probably intended as a shadow work type of deck, but really you can find other ways of working with it. Well, folks, yeah, that's all of the decks. I want to thank you all so much for watching with me and joining me today as we delve into the 11 Oracle and Lenormand decks that I'm recommending for use in autumn and around Halloween and Thanksgiving. I'm curious to hear from you. What decks do you plan to use in the autumn and the Halloween season? And were you surprised by some of the choices I've picked? I love hearing what you all plan to work with. I have given you all a few questions throughout this video, as I do, because I'm just chit-chatting with you. I'm sitting here chatting with my friend, you and me, one-on-one right here, and I want to hear from you. So don't forget to leave a comment. Also, please, on your way out, like the video and subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. Okay, loves, I will see you all around in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye for now.